Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Cemetery Mary. I don't 1000% remember where we left off. It's when Twyla's car pulled up. Once again, she had a chauffeur taking us. I tried not to question it. After all, she's probably used to getting around like this. Once I was in the car with her and we were driving, I felt it appropriate to ask her again where we were going. And she answered. A retirement home? Yes. This is supposed to help us catch the butcher? That's what I'm hoping, anyways. If I may ask, why there? Well, one reason a murderer is being What? Well, one reason a murderer is being suspected is because of the spike in deaths. What? My brain struggled with that sentence, I'm sorry. I know there's rumors people have been spreading about them being violent, but after doing research on all the recent deaths we've had, I've noticed a majority of them were above 65 years old. People in that age group have been dying the most in this area. What? Well, I mean, isn't that a bit expected? For older or elderly people to be dying? Exactly. Huh? I don't think I catch your drift. Mary, if you were a serial killer who, to avoid risk of getting caught, didn't want to be known at all, who would you kill? I don't know. You'd kill someone who's already expected to die, of course. Even if an autopsy proves otherwise, most people would still assume they died of old age, or a heart attack, or some sickness, or some other age-related issue. Maybe a few people would be suspicious, and even spread rumors about you. But the majority would think there's nothing unusual about an old person dying. I never thought of it like that. So, we're going there to, look for clues? Evidence? Something like that. How can you be so certain about this? What if we don't find anything, or what if we get in trouble? Oh, it'll be fine. It's not like this is the most high-security place in the world. I'm sure the nurses will be too worried about the geezers to pay attention to whatever we're doing anyways. Especially with you distracting them. Oh, right. I suppose I did say I would do that, didn't I? You did. So don't let me down, okay? I'll try not to. How do we consult the How to Read Ghosts book? Or how do we read the How to See Ghost book? Cypress Side Retirement Home. Oh my god! The sun seemed to illuminate the front of the building perfectly as we drove up Cypress Side. I've heard of this place before. I've seen job ads for it. They were looking for nurses and other stuff. Twyla told the driver to return in about 2 hours or so before stepping out of the car. I followed her. The air smelled fresh and clean as we headed towards the welcoming front door. It must have been all the flowers planted outside. Oof, we look like we mean business in this place. Take the cats. What does it say? Some things are closer than they appear. Get your eyes examined. That's very ominous. As we stepped through the entranceway, my senses were bombarded with an extremely sanitized smell. The lights felt bright, and I noticed that no windows had their curtains drawn. It felt extremely clean and open in here, and there was a faint sound of what I could only describe as old people music playing in the other room. Surprisingly, there was no one at the front counter. Twyla seemed to notice this as well. Oh good, no one to interrogate us about why we're here. This already became 10 times easier. So what's our age bracket here? Like, are we young teens or older teens? 'Cause I get the impression we're young. But, like, I don't know how. Run for the cups. Old wheel, I don't know. I don't know how to phrase my statement here. Or question? I don't know. In fact, this is a good place to start. How do you mean? What else would I mean, Mary? I'm going to look through the computer. Oh, Twyla, please don't. Mary, please. Don't make a bigger deal of this than it is. I'm not stealing anything. It's for a greater good, alright? I don't trust Twyla. I really don't. She seems like bad news. Stop making me go over this. Alright, but only because it's for a greater good. Good. Now, while I get started, go out there and distract them. But how? I don't know. It's your job. Ask nurses where things are. Pretend you're entertainment. Even take a medical emergency. I don't care. Just make sure no one comes over here. And if you spot anyone coming over here, stop them. Or alert me so I can get out. How should I alert you? I don't know. Shout something like, "Look, a deer," and point at the nearest window. I'll know what it means when I hear it. Alright, that makes sense. Good. Now get out there. We don't want to waste any time. Right. I don't trust Twyla. I don't. I think she's going to get us in hella trouble. As instructed, I walked further into what appeared to be a common room. There were some elderly people there, as well as around 3 or 4 nurses to watch them. I collected a few odd glances as I entered, but it was important that I not look suspicious. Though, when it comes to me, I just tried to smile and look inviting. But being a distraction proved more difficult than I thought it would be. Aww. Aww. Poor Mary. Talking to people didn't seem like the right way to go about it. I don't even know what I would have said. I didn't want to say the wrong thing and come off as even more suspicious. Though, I'm sure I look nervous enough as it is. I kept looking over to Twyla. She was always steadily at work, it seemed. I wonder what she was even looking for. She clearly knew what she was doing, but maybe she thought I wouldn't understand it or something? Or maybe she was scared I wouldn't agree to doing it if I knew. While I tried to appear distracting and kept a lookout, I also tried to look through some drawers or bookshelves when people's eyes weren't upon me. Weren't on me. Wow, my brain. Brains. So wait, do we have doll legs? Like, is that a joint, or is that just the fashion of the socks? Or pants? I don't know. It felt dirty and wrong, even if this was a common area. I just didn't like snooping at all. Snooping at all. But it's not like it mattered, I guess, because I didn't find anything important. But at one point I noticed a nurse heading to the front desk. I was about to shout our whole deer plan, but it's a good thing I turned to check before I yelled, because when I looked back over there, Twyla was gone. That's strange. Where'd she go? Did she just get up and head somewhere without telling me? She wouldn't leave the building, right? Or did she already get caught because I wasn't checking enough? Well, either way, there's no use to me being in the common room anymore. I made my way out and went to go look for her. Of course, if she was snooping around, I couldn't just out and call her name. So, I tried to be quiet as I looked and made sure to keep a lookout for anything strange as I did. And I did actually happen across something strange. It's a trail of something on the floor. I noticed as I looked down, it was like a stain spread across the floor. It wasn't red, so I don't think it was blood or anything. If I bent down really close to it, it even vaguely smelled of fruit, if that made any sense. It was something familiar and yet seemed unfamiliar too. I couldn't exactly pin what it was. Something about it just felt off. Like, this isn't the type of stain you're supposed to find here. All I knew is what it looked like, and that it formed a trail. Naturally, I started to follow it, but I didn't get very far. "Excuse me, miss," before I heard a woman's voice speaking to me harshly. I looked up to see a nurse in front of me. She did not look happy. Oh, hello there. What are you doing? Huh? What do you mean? Are you looking for something? Well, not particularly. I mean, I noticed you in the common room earlier, and now you're looking around the halls? What is it you're here for? Because it doesn't seem like you came here to visit someone. Oh, no, I did. I was surprised they weren't in the common room, so I went to look for their room. But, I couldn't remember the number? Really now? Who did you come to visit then? Oh, my grandpa. I'm here to visit my grandfather. You can't mistake him. He looks a lot like me. We've both got red hair and, glasses. I mean, I don't have glasses, but he does. And, he's pretty old, and, what's his name? His name? Oh, shoot. What am I supposed to say? If I say the wrong thing, I'm doomed. I felt absolutely cornered now, but it was then that I noticed Twyla. She was... goddamn font. She was all the way at the end of the hall, right past the nurse in front of me. She seemed to have spotted me as I was looking for her. It looked as if she was crossing into some other room, but I guess she noticed it. I gotta learn to read one day. One of these days, I will learn to read, by God. I guess she noticed it looked like I was in trouble. Should I call her over? Maybe she can help me. She looked through the computer after all. She could give the nurse the name she's looking for, but what should I do? Ah, God, call over Twyla. Call over Twyla. I called Twyla to help me. She appeared visibly annoyed and a bit startled that I called out to her, but she made her way over to me anyways. The stern look on her face made me start to regret calling her over. You two are together? Yes, we are. My apologies. I got separated from my cousin when we went to get something from our car. Cousin? She texted me to come and find her because she got lost. Yes, thank you for explaining. I couldn't find the words to explain it properly to the nurse. All I was able to get out is that we're here to visit our grandfather. What's your grandfather's name? Ed Wraithward? No, I understand. Sorry, I apologize if I came off as rude. Here, I'll take you back to his room. Just take careful note of his room number this time. Will do. The nurse escorted us to the stranger's room. Twyla was a lot better at lying than I was. I was glad to see she was able to defuse the situation, but she shot daggers at me the entire time we walked. Once we were in the room, the nurse left us, and it was just me, Twyla, and this old man. Well, only for a few moments. Mary, don't fucking do that next time. You could have landed us both in trouble. Listen, just stay here, alright? It's better if you don't give them any more reason to be suspicious. I'll come get you when I'm done. But, she was already out the door before I could finish. I wish I could read more before the characters cut us off, but that's also a really cool touch, that the character can start saying something and actually get cut off in real time. I think that's interesting. I think that's super interesting. Slightly frustrating as a human that's trying to read it, but really cool touch as a gaming experience kind of thing. If that made any sense even remotely. She was already out the door before I could finish. I wasn't able to tell her about the strange trail I had seen. I wanted to go back out there and tell her, but when I opened the door again, she was nowhere in sight. And I didn't want to try chasing after her, just in case I was caught again. So defeated, I made my way back over to where the old man had been silently sitting the entire time. I pulled up a stool and took a seat across from him. Yeah, red hair and glasses. Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Ed? Who was there? Hello, Mr. Ed. It's very nice to meet you. I hope this isn't too awkward. Sorry, let me turn my hearing aid up. Blind as a bat and already losing my hearing too. Alright, now, come again. Who's this? I ain't had a visitor in forever. I don't want to lie to the old man. We probably could, but lying just doesn't feel right. No? I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't really recognize you from anywhere. I'm sure you don't recognize me, unless you also like cemeteries. Can't say I do. With eyes like mine, can't say I recognize anyone anymore. I'm Mary. I don't think you heard me say it earlier, but it's very nice to meet you. Ed, a pleasure to meet you too. I'm sorry, I didn't really know what to talk about. Well, for starters, why don't you tell me why you're here? Seems a little suspicious to get a sudden visitor I don't know. I don't know if I should. Why is that? You're not up to anything bad, are you? No, not at all. In fact, I'm here for a good reason. And with a friend, too. Well, she's not with me now, but she was in here earlier, but I don't know if you saw her. I almost got her in trouble with the nurse, so she got mad at me. Ha! The nurses are a bunch of hard asses. Oh my! What? It's true. Acting like they gotta baby us all the time. Let me tell you, just 'cause I'm wearing diapers doesn't mean I'm a baby. I see. Are they really so annoying? Oh, do you know it? Don't get me wrong here. There's a few sweethearts, but wowee, some of these folks need to take a, what's it called? A chill pill? Yeah, one of those. I'm sure they just want to make sure you're okay. Yeah, I get it. I'm sure it ain't I'm sure it ain't any easy job. But it's a bit hard to be around them acting so strictly all the time, even when you don't need them to be. How do you mean? Well, they ain't always the nicest company, that's all. You not enjoy their company? Well, it isn't awful, but I'd much rather hang around friends and family and people of the like. Well, why can't you? They're dead. Oh. I'm sorry for your loss. Are you okay? Heh. Happens to all of us. None of my friends seem to have lasted as long as I did. And your family? Well, they ain't dead. Most of them ain't. But they might as well be. Why do you say that? Hell, they never come to visit me. Only showed up to visit at my old home when my wife died. None of them wanted to take care of me because who would, right? Stuck me in here fastest chance they got. Sorry. That's a tad rude of me. I shouldn't be talking like that. Some of them actually called to say they'd visit soon, so I'm sorry. That's really sad. Ah, phooey. Don't you worry about that. I guess it's just expected when you're old. People see you less and less the older you get. This is sudden, but you mentioned your wife died? May I ask you some things about your wife? If that's alright. Please? Sure. When and how? When? When feels like the less rude of those two. And might still get an answer, but definitely feels like the less rude. When did she die? 'Twas a while ago. Can't say I remember exactly when. Hard to keep track of time at all nowadays. Yeah, when you're just in a home with nothing to do and no one to visit, I can imagine time just kind of slipping by. Ah, right. Well, how did she pass peacefully at least? I'm sorry, was that too brash? Ah, we're gonna kill Ed. I hope it was peaceful. She deserved only the best, the sweetheart she was. I hope. If they're not visiting me, they'd better be visiting her. Huh? Who? Your wife? Who else? Being in my state, I can't visit her. So those children of mine better be paying their respects and giving her the company I can't. Actually, this may sound very strange, but I think I've met her before. I live very close to the cemetery, and I like to make sure that every person has at least a flower. Your last name, it seemed familiar to me. I think I've met her before. So I hope I can assure you that she hasn't been forgotten. Is that so? You really do that? For someone you don't even know? Well, yeah. I believe that people always deserve respect, even after passing. And if you feel she's not getting enough, well, I'm more than happy when I'm able to provide. Well, I'm more than happy when I'm able to provide. And I can visit you too. Like here. You said your family doesn't visit you enough, right? Well, I'm sure I can make time to visit you here. And maybe I'll be able to take you to visit your wife too. I'm sorry, I just got a bit weird there, didn't I? I'd like that. You would? Really? I'm so glad then. Before I could say much else, a nurse popped in to check on us. Yoo-hoo! Hello, hello, hello! How's everything going in here? Everyone doing okay? Oh yes, thank you. Glad to hear it. Her face is intense. I don't know if her eyes are intense or not. They kind of look a little intensey though. Well, I've come to bring your special lunch, Ed. Lunchtime already. I see, thank you. Nurse pulled out one of those small folding tables and placed down a tray of food for Ed. Ed slipped a spoonful of soup and coughed. I immediately began to worry that he was choking, but then... Oh! What's happening? Ed! Oh dear, oh my. Don't worry, this will be fine. I just need to call for some help, that's all. So the nurse reached over and pulled what looked like a walkie-talkie. She scrambled to get it working as she voiced there was an emergency. Before I knew it, nurses started to flood the room as I was pushed out by them. I tried to look over to see what was happening, but it was no use. There were too many of them, and I was also too short to see past. I felt a tight feeling in my throat as I nervously filled my hands together. I don't know what happened. I tried to listen in, but with all of the nurses talking and panicking at once, it was hard. Oh my gosh. I water. Man, poor Ed. I hope he's okay. He's not gonna be okay. He's not gonna be okay. I have a feeling he's not gonna be okay. I think I heard something about an ambulance, but I couldn't be sure. I wasn't sure what to do next, but then... Twyla! There you are! Hey, what's going on in there? The man. The guy. Use your words, Mary. The guy in there, he started choking and now a bunch of nurses are in there trying to fix it. I think I heard one of them call for an ambulance? Really? That's a lucky break for us then. Huh? Well, if they're all in there, we can snoop even further without getting caught. Twyla! He's having an emergency! Yeah, and? What if it's the work of the butcher? I don't know if she's crazy and using us. I don't know if she's just crazy. I don't know if like using us is incidental to her crazy. I don't know if she's just a con artist pulling. I'm just getting bad vibes from Twyla. Think about it. Maybe this is because the butcher really did decide to strike here today. Maybe they're still around. And maybe we can catch them or find something they left behind. Twyla, please. Come on, who knows how much time we have? You may let this opportunity go to waste, but I won't. If you're not going to look with me, then just wait outside until I'm done. I'm looking whether you like it or not. Twyla, no! I had no choice. I had to follow Twyla. I didn't want her doing something even worse. Luckily, most of the doors she tried to get in were locked anyway. But then she tried getting into the kitchen. Before she could step inside, I reached out and tried to pull her back. She was insistent on getting in. Bad vibes. Twyla, stop it. Let go, Mary. I need to look. I saw something in here earlier. I couldn't get a close enough look until now. So get off before you really get on my nerves. You said you wouldn't be like this. Twyla, this is going way too far. It's not like we're real police or detectives or something. We're trespassers, Twy. We don't know how long everyone will be gone for. If someone comes back and sees us here, then we get in the big trouble. Then in here. If someone comes back and sees us in here, we can get in big trouble. God. Brains! Alright. Please. It's not worth it. You're right. Fine then. Let's go. I let go of Twyla and we started back down the hall. Though, from the corner of my eye, I could swear I saw her rush in... Wait, what? Though, from the corner of my eye, I swear I saw her rush in really quick. But when I turned around, she was right behind me. So, I want to believe she didn't do anything underhanded. Oh, I don't like that. Twyla took out her phone and made sure her chauffeur was on the way. I hadn't even realized it had already gotten near the time we planned to leave. We stepped out of the building and into the soft sunshine. It felt so strange to have everything seem so peaceful out here as compared to the chaos going on inside. Worry still swelled my chest, but I assured myself they had everything under control as we sat on the curb and waited for our ride. We didn't say much. I was fine with that. Before I knew it, our ride showed up, and we crawled into the back seat. As we drove off, I noticed the ambulance, sirens blaring, pull into the front of the home. My heart sank once again. She's cold. Really is. Did she have glasses? She always had glasses, right? Right? I don't know. During the ride, I looked over to Twyla. She seemed to be texting like crazy on her phone. She seemed frustrated. That was probably my fault, I figured, so I tried to make sure I was still on her good side. Twyla? Are you mad at me? I'm sorry, I didn't think I was cut out for this. I didn't think I was as cut out for this as you'd like me to be. It's fine. I'm not upset. You sure? Yes. I collected a lot of information from there. I'll have a lot to go over when I analyze my findings later. Oh, I'm glad then. The rest of the ride was mostly quiet until she asked where I wanted to be dropped off. As my go-to, I told her to let me off at the cemetery. She called me a weirdo, but dropped me off there anyways. The rest of my day was pretty uneventful after that, but I am really truly thankful for that. I don't know what I would have done had something else awful happened. I went home at my usual time and carried on as normal. Where were you today? You're not already here, are you? Why do you think that I am? Because something bad happened today. Oh? And what was that? I don't know if I should tell you. Then how would I know what you're talking about? I don't think we should keep talking to this guy either, real talk. I went somewhere today, and while I was there, someone started having a medical emergency. He called an ambulance, and I was told I should leave. I see. I'm sorry you had to go through that. By any means, I hope you may feel better. By any means, I hope you may feel better about what happened soon. Try not to think about it too much. You'll get a good night's sleep. I always try to. Good night, Mary. Yeah, the relationship with the phone guy is weird. I don't fully understand it. It had been a few days since I last talked to Twyla. Well, I mean, I had been talking to her, but she isn't the easiest to hold a conversation with. Unless she wants to talk about the butcher, there's really nothing we have to talk about. And things regarding it have been pretty quiet lately. Well, on my end at least. I don't know what Twyla's doing, or if she's found anything. I feel like she doesn't really trust me. But, well, that's fair. We don't really know each other too well. But maybe she'll start to trust me the more we work together. Bad vibes. That's how friendship works, right? Anyway, I'm spending today at home. I'm spending today at home like I've been. Going out is nice, but I need a little break every once in a while, too. Not Corwin, though. Croven, though, apparently. He always leaves the house, even if it's not a nice day. He stays out all day, too, so it can get pretty lonely when he's not around. But that's not so bad. I've been able to keep myself pretty entertained. This does look cozy. Oogie spooky book, nice blanket, nice fire. That seems cozy. I started reading the book that the old bookstore owner had given me. When I saw the title, How to Talk to Ghosts, I figured it was, well, figurative. I thought it'd be some spooky story with a clever title, but to my surprise, it was written as more of an instructional guide. It's a very interesting read. And I'm curious as to how they got all this information. Anyway, Quote, as previously mentioned, ghosts exist on a different plane of existence. That much is obvious. Yet they can communicate with us despite their beings existing on a separate layer from ours. We see time and time again their attempts to reach us. Perhaps it's because they are angry, perhaps it's because they are lonely. Does each ghost exist on their own, or do spirits share a realm with one another, expanding and everlasting? Is there a heaven, is there a hell, or is there only purgatory stretching for miles beyond what we can comprehend? These are questions I cannot yet answer, for if I could, I wouldn't be here writing this now, would I? I mean, shit, man, you could have come back, I don't know. But there's a question I have been able to answer. Since ghosts can make contact with us, I often wondered, could we contact them? Sure, you've heard of psychics and mediums and whatnot, but that is only half of what I'm talking about. Being born with an innate ability is a factor, of course, but I wanted to delve deeper than that. Despite where they may exist, they can clearly affect things in our realm. They can reach us, and like one-way glass, I know they can see us. But what if we could see them? It's not enough to hear them. I wanted to see them. I want to travel where they were. I believe that when you die, perhaps your soul can become unrestricted. What if we could accomplish the opposite? What if a living being had the ability to unrestrict itself before death? Perhaps this sounds like crazy talk. My phone's ringing. Hello? Hi. Oh, hi, Twyla. Did you need something? No. Well, kind of. Remember how we went to Cypress Side the other day? Yeah, of course, why? Do you happen to remember the name of the guy we talked to? You mean Ed? Yes, but his last name also. Wreathward? Thank you. I was sure I had it right, but I just wanted some confirmation. Oh, okay. Is there anything else you need from me, or him? I mean, did you call instead of text? So... Oh, that was just to ensure I got an immediate response. Oh. Well, okay. If you need anything more info on him, I'm going to visit him this weekend, so... In the cemetery? No, in the retirement home. Mary. You know he died, right? Huh? I mean, I figured you kept that on top... I figured you kept on top of all that stuff. You didn't know? He died that day we went. Guess that emergency he had was serious after all. It also means the butcher could have been there when we were. That's why I was looking more into it just now. I hope you weren't too attached. I'll talk to you later. I was heartbroken. The butcher could have been there? Was it because of us? Because we were there investigating them? Were they on our trail? Did Ed die because I had trouble sleeping that night. I made sure to stop by the cemetery every day, finding out as much information as I could. If he really did die because I wasn't going to miss his funeral. Normally when I put flowers on graves, especially new ones I haven't seen before, I bring flowers I grew myself. Buying them can get expensive and it feels more genuine to grow your own. But I had just been growing a new patch. I didn't have any new flowers I could bring, so I took all the little buds I could gather and wrapped them up and invited myself in. Wouldn't you know, his funeral was the same day I was planning on visiting him. Isn't it funny how life works out? Aww, Mary. I normally don't cry at funerals. I mean, at least the ones where I don't know the person well. But I had to cry now. I had no choice but to cry. All I could think about him was sitting there in his room talking about how lonely he was. And no one ever came to visit him. Well, they came to visit now. He wasn't alone now, right? I didn't talk to any of his family, and they didn't talk to me. And I was fine with that. I didn't want to explain my reasons for being there, or the overwhelming sense of guilt was enough to weigh on my shoulders. I didn't want to have to explain it to them. Explain to them too. I normally don't like to outlast family members at their own family's funerals, but I couldn't help it this time. I had to stay. I had to stay as long as I could, to somehow possibly make up for what I may have caused. Family members dwindled, and eventually they all left. I'm sure they were confused that I didn't, but I didn't want to move from his spot, even if you tried to drag me. Aww. Oh, Ed. It's so sad. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. I'm so sorry. This might be my fault. Maybe she was right. Maybe if I had helped her more, or we had worked quicker, maybe. Your family came to visit, you know, just like you wanted them to. They seem to miss you a lot, so I hope you know they were thinking of you, and your wife. You're right next to her, you know? I've been leaving her flowers for so long, and I hope you know that I was taking care of her this whole time, so I'm sure she wasn't lonely. And maybe you won't be either. Now that you're beside her. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say other than I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I must have been really exhausted. The guilt I was feeling and how much I cried. I didn't even remember falling asleep. I'd just been leaning against the gravestone crying, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up on the ground of an unfamiliar place. I picked myself up off the ground and looked around. Everything seemed strange. There was a faint green glow all around. The air felt foggy and moist. In front of me was a house that looked similar to the cabin, but this wasn't the cabin, was it? I had no clue where I was. What do I do? Oh gosh. Feel. The grass felt like a soft carpet. The rocks and wood of the house felt artificial, almost plastic-like. Huh. I mean, is the audio the cue to listen? Well, you and I are listening to two different things then. Take a whiff. Took a big whiff to smell my surroundings. There was a faint smell of lilies coming from all directions, though I didn't see any. That feels concerning. Aren't lilies the death one? Look around. All around me, except for the house, I could see nothing in the distance. There were no other buildings. No other trees either. Or people. It was almost uncomfortable how empty it felt. Knocking on the door. Well, I suppose there's not much else to do. No, not much else I can do. I climbed up to the perch and walked up to the door. Standing in front of it, I politely knocked, waiting to see if there was someone inside. Didn't hear anything, so I knocked again, a little louder this time. I heard something coming. Oh, that actually, I didn't like that. I didn't like the sound that it made. I'm officially playing this at nighttime, and the creak got me. The door creaked. The handle slowly turned, and what answered was Ed. Well, hey there, Ed. Is it really you? I don't know who else it would be. I'm so glad. I gave Ed a big hug as he invited me inside. I was so pleasantly surprised. He led me into the kitchen area and offered me refreshments. I politely declined as I pulled up a stool to talk to him. Because the Ed that I know is... I'm very happy to see you, you know. But how is this possible? How do you mean? Well, you died. Died? Oh yeah, I suppose that did happen. I nearly forgot. Actually, that's curious then. Because how did you get here if I'm dead? I don't know. I just woke up here. Alright then. I hope you enjoy your stay. If you're here long enough, my wife should be back any minute. You could say hi. Your wife? She's here too? I'm so glad you could see her again. Me too. Funny thing is, I'm pretty sure she knows you too. She does? Had I ever met her before then? Not sure. She says a red-haired girl brings her flowers a lot. And you're the only red-haired girl I know that's not in the family. Really? That's... Hey, while I'm here, can I ask you something? If that's okay? I don't see why not. How exactly did you die? Well, beats me. One second I was eating lunch with you there, and I started coughing. Things were pretty dark for a while. And before I knew it, I was here. Sitting in a cozy chair, feeling right as a peach. Really? Just like that? Was it painful? Maybe a little, but not for too long. I just remember my lunch tasting a little different. Maybe it was spoiled? And I just couldn't breathe. Probably started choking from eating too fast. But would choking cause him to cough up blood like that? I see. And that's all you remember? Can't say there's much else. Well, thank you. Even a little information helps a lot. Helps in what? Don't worry about it. Besides, I don't think you really have much to worry about if you're here. Well, I suppose that's true. Sure you don't want anything while you're here, then? We just stocked the fridge. Go help yourself. Oh, well, if you insist, I suppose. Thank you very much, then. How did a ghost stock a fridge? I got up from the stool and walked towards the fridge. That's kind of weird, isn't it? I didn't think dead people would need to eat. I opened the fridge and looked inside. It was stocked with like a regular fridge would be. Though I can't say I recognized many of the brands here, but I don't think that belongs in a fridge. Because Mary? I jumped to my feet as soon as I heard my name called. The sound of Reginald's voice had jolted me awake. So was that just... Oh, thank goodness you're okay. So you're lying on the ground and was worried something had happened to you. I don't think a cemetery is a very good place to take a nap, you know. Well, apparently on the contrary. A nap? Then, was that all a dream? But Ed, and the way he spoke. I couldn't have made that up, could I? Reginald? What are you doing here? Haha, that's right. I never told you, did I? I'm a coffin maker, you see. And, well, I've actually got business with someone who works here. Oh, you make coffins? That's... Before I knew it, someone from behind me harshly gripped my shoulder. Oh, why, if it isn't Twyla. Hello, Reginald. Huh? Oh, hi, Twy. You're kind of hurting me. What's going on here? Oh, you're friends with Mary, too? How lovely. You know, Twy, dear, I haven't seen you at the library in quite some time. Do you stop working there? You should have told me. I look for you when I go in, you know. I was worried something terrible might have happened to you. Uh-huh. Well, it was nice seeing you, Reginald. But Mary and I have to get going. We do? Aw, is that so? Yes. We're already off schedule, so it's best we leave immediately. We are? Oh, alright. Perhaps I'll see you later then. Maybe. Goodbye. So they have a thingy thing going on. Twyla practically dragged me out of the cemetery. I felt really bad since I wasn't able to say goodbye to Reginald first. Once we were out past the gate, Twyla gave me a smack on the back of my head. Ow! Why'd you do that? What were you doing with him back there? Huh? What do you mean? Why... Why were you in there with Reginald? Huh? Oh, he helped me. I didn't stay away from him. Huh? Why? Because he's my top suspect right now. Really? Why would I lie about that? I don't know. But you're sure it's him? Not entirely. But I can't think of anyone more suspicious. So try to stay away from him, if you care for your safety at all. Alright. Well, let's go then. Huh? We're doing something after all? Well, I was going to do it by myself. But since you're here, I might as well take you along too. Let's go. I'll tell you what I know along the way. Man. It sucks that she's just bad vibes all around because, like, head on, she looks cool as hell. Cool as hell. Hey, where are we going? Hardware store. Hardware store? Yep. You see, back when we looked in the kitchen of the retirement home, I saw something, and I'm pretty... Hey. Was it antifreeze? Huh? How do you know that? Well, back when we were in the retirement home, I saw this trail of something I wasn't sure of, but it was like a trail of... Twyla hit me over the head again. Ow! Please stop doing that. Idiot, why didn't you tell me? I didn't have the chance. And, well, something else confirmed it for me, too. Yeah, what's that? Well, back in the cemetery, I think I spoke to Ed's ghost. The man who died? Oh, please, don't try to bring a bunch of supernatural shit into this. I'm serious, I was in... I was in the house. His house. You broke in? No, it was like a ghost house? I don't know how to describe it. And he offered me food, but when I looked in the fridge, there was a gallon of antifreeze in there. At least, that's what it looked like from the way it was labeled. Right. I promise I'm not making it up. Sure, whatever. By any means, you know what we're looking for. Back when we were in the retirement home, I saw a nearly empty gallon of something magenta-like, with the majority of its label scratched off. I took a sample of it. Analysis showed that it was some type of antifreeze. Analysis? Sample? How'd you do that? It's not important. But Huh? Don't worry about it. It would take too long to explain, and it really isn't important to how I did it. I just know it is some type of antifreeze. Some type. It's close enough. Be some new brand or some bullshit. I don't know. That's not the important part. When I looked further into it, I discovered that whatever brand that was, it was completely different than the kind used by the retirement home and their vehicles. That means someone else had to bring in that antifreeze, which most likely means it was brought in for the express purpose of hurting somebody. I want to go around the hardware stores and auto shops and ask the workers there what they know about antifreeze. And this kind specifically. If we're really lucky, maybe we can even find out who's been purchasing it. You think that'll work? What if whoever was using it ordered it online? I doubt it. Because if the butcher really is using antifreeze, then they're probably out buying it and paying for it with cash. It's much easier to track a digital footprint. Even if it wasn't. It wouldn't look good when authorities finally realize the murder weapon and discover you've been having it shipped to your house for the past few weeks. And even if not, it's at least worth looking into what kind it is. I never thought of it like that. We're almost there. I'll start talking to employees and see if they can provide me with information. You go and look at the antifreeze and see if you can find any that looks like this. Twyla showed me a ripped part of the label as well as a liquid sample in a small jar. The liquid looked similar to the kind seen on the floor, except it looked much more magenta here. The label was black with a magenta-ish purple stripe on it. Magenta purple stripe. Is this magenta? It looked like there was part of a letter on it, but it was too cut off to know which letter it could have been. It felt weird. What was this label made of? It just felt like old paper. When we got inside the local hardware store, Twyla practically pushed me to the outdoor sections. She went off to go find someone to talk to. I guess it was my job to look for any potential candidates. Where should I look? Bottom shelves, middle shelves, top shelves. Antifreeze is usually bottom shelf. Nothing here but bags of soil and fertilizer. It smells bad. There's some snow stuff here. Shovels, gloves, antifreeze! Thought none of these look like the bottle I'm looking for. There's a lot of blue and green and even some pink, but nothing with this purpley magenta color. Maybe we're getting off track. It has to be here. Definitely something going on with that antifreeze. Somewhere has to have it. Or at least some worker who knows what we're talking about. But even if we find it, does that really mean we can find who's... My apologies. Does that really mean we can find who's buying it? Top shelf. They're too high for me to see, unfortunately. One of those roller stair things was in the aisle, though. I thought about climbing it, but I was worried I might get in trouble. I guess I'll wait for an employee to come by and help me. Looked very hard, but I didn't find anything. Twyla and I tried out a few different stores, but no one seemed to have what we were looking for. Anything that was purple wasn't antifreeze, and anything that was antifreeze wasn't purple. Even when we... Is it embalming fluid? Or like varnish or something? I don't know. I don't know. They didn't seem to know what we were talking about. Even showing them the label, they would say they'd never seen antifreeze or coolant packaging like that in their shelves. In their lives. Oh my gosh. Our efforts seemed fruitless. So eventually, we just gave up. At least for the day, that is. Twyla didn't even offer me a ride home or anything. She seemed really fed up. I guess I could see why. I just ended up heading back home after that. We had spent a while out together, and it wasn't as if I could do much more today. The day was pretty exhausting anyways, so I went home to do the usual evening things, and night proceeded as normal. Can I ask you a question? A strange question? Are you there? Where are you? I'm here. What was your question? Do you believe in ghosts? Or have you been to a hardware store recently? Do you believe in ghosts?